Okay, so the third video, this one's about cross views, which I've slowed this video down just to highlight this area. You'll see the circle come up on the left hand side here in 2 minutes. Boom. So I didn't think that Danny had saw that because we took a different approach to this bend. You can see I'm ended up on the left hand side nice and early. He eventually gets in there, but my consideration was that he potentially could have seen that information a little bit sooner had he been using cross views. Cross views are really helpful. To keep an eye out for them and to try and build a picture as to what's potentially coming next. And when we run through this little section in normal speed, because again, I've slowed this down just for illustration purposes, but when you run through it at normal speed, you just realize how fast this information is coming at you. So here we go now, and we go, quick glance through, see it, change my position slightly, starting to come in. Okay, so what I did was I made a mental note. Okay, I need to go through this with Danny. So on the earliest occasion on our next ride out, I tried to highlight this, which I'll play the audio of the feedback for you now. I did find on one section, hopefully you saw it as well, was when we were following that blue car.
Yeah.
About halfway to where it turned in, there was a section where I was anticipating potentially a change of speed limit, either from a 60 down to a 30 or a 60 down to a 40. And as I was talking about it, I just had a quick look over across the field, and you could see through the cross view that the 30 mile an hour sign was there. And so I'm just going to check that. Were you aware of that? Did you pick that one up as well?
I didn't look over the top, but as soon as you said it, I could see.
Okay, and I think that's one benefit of having radio communication, is it shows that I'm watching you and the bend, and then if there's an opportunity to have a quick look over, because we knew it was coming. There was a 30 mile an hour.
I think when you're with the radio communication, what you're saying with stuff like that, that's putting me where I need to be looking as well.
Absolutely.
So when I came, I know the one you were talking about, and as soon as you said it, I looked over. I thought, oh yeah, and I need to lift my head up a little bit.
Because that was there. That information was there before. Now on that same day, amazingly, we went out, and probably about 2 or 3 miles later, this happened. So we're coming around a couple of session of bends, and then all of a sudden there was a cross view that helped us identify road maintenance vehicles. So because we were already practicing looking out for these cross views and using them, then on what would be a flowing road, we picked up this information nice and early, and you'll see it now in a moment where you just realise, oh yeah, if you come on it and haven't planned for it, it's a bit of a nightmare. But again, because Danny had started to stretch his view and start looking ahead, he picked this stuff up nice and early, no drama. But, it was just easy. And I guess the moral of the story is it's okay, be in the right position for the bend. Try and always be able to stop in the district seat to be clear. But use cross views, look over, have a look. See, can you see something early? Because that can just help you get in the position so much sooner, which will then allow you to make much better decisions, and you just feel like you have more time, which is the essence of what we're trying to achieve. A little bit later on here, what you do see is a couple of changes. That this is actually from Danny's bike filming me, because what I want him to see, my positional changes. I felt I was using a little bit more of the lane available. I also felt, I used the word sharp. I also felt that when I was making my positional changes, I just tend to get on with it quickly. So again, what you should see is when there's any hazard coming towards me, I'm already in out of the way. I'm not having to dive out of the way when there's a vehicle coming towards me. But obviously, because you're looking at this from the back of Danny's bike, you often realise when his position hasn't changed as much as mine. And again, that's the learning curve. That's what we're trying to achieve. The other scenario is not only just cross views, but scenarios where you're looking at the bend. The bend is opening up in front of you, and potentially you can get a cross view, you can see what's coming, but what sometimes changes your position is just the surface of the road. And so we made a decision at one stage halfway around this bend where Danny went around the outside of the hazard and I went on the inside, and it's not really an issue. The point was we looked at the scenario and we chose to solve it in two different ways, both of which is okay. But I just felt like, well, if I make a note of that, we can then understand that, you know, you can make these different decisions on different bends and still be correct. Anyways, you're going to see that as we roll on down here. What is clear, though, as we make our progress down this little section road, this is actually up near Helmsley, heading out towards Stokesley, lovely part of the country, and it was a lovely day that we were doing it as well. Often the position that I'm in would then automatically suit the bend that we're on, but also then be in a position where if something came in the other direction, I didn't have to dive in out of the way. A lot of the reason for that is, if you consider that you're trying to be in a position where it gives you more view around that bend, but at the same time in the back of your mind you're thinking, yes, I'd like to get a view, but what happens if somebody else comes the other way? And so what I was actually doing on this little section here was I was trying to see, could I get any extra advantage by using my own side of the road most of the time? Could I get any extra advantage by being in that position just a little bit earlier, a little bit sharper? When me and Danny watched this video back, one of the key things we could see was that often I was already there earlier than Danny. Now that's ironic because I'm the one that's behind. Anyways, we're actually approaching this particular bend that I was talking about. So you see us come around this. It's a long left-hand bend. So as I was doing, it was a left-hand bend. But there was then a manhole cover halfway around it, and Danny went round the outside of it, so following the white line. There it is. And I took a line towards the inside. So I guess the essence is, as you see each of these problems, there's more than one way to solve them.